Filters, filters, filters. Alright, fishy folks, happy Sunday Funday. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. Today we're going to talk about, you guessed it, filters, filters, filters. And specifically sponge filters or box filters. Now, that's all I use in my fish room. I have one tank that's not in the fish room, that's in the house, and it's a show tank, and it has a sponge filter in it also. And the reason why is they're cheap, they're efficient, and that's pretty much it. So they're cheap to run, they run off air. I have one air pump that runs my entire fish room, and so electrically they're fairly inexpensive compared to hang in the backs or canisters. They're cheap. A filter like that is only about $5 or $6 on Amazon. I'll put some links down below to buy some of these filters at my Amazon store if you're interested. If you purchase something by going through that link, I do make, I don't know, like 1/3% or something. So that adds up. If you guys spend like $1,000, I might be able to buy a cheeseburger or something. So I'm not doing it actually to make money. I'm just doing it to make it easier for you guys to buy something that you see in one of my videos that you want. Okay, this filter here is a little bit special. It's from Japan. I did an unboxing. I'll put a link to that in the up in the corner somewhere for you guys to click on and watch if you haven't watched already. This is a combination sponge filter, box filter. Basically it's an enclosed sponge filter. It has rocks on the bottom basically to weigh it down. The foam, the white foam, is there as mechanical and biological filtration, and then it does have a carbon section inside for chemical. Now, one of my subscribers, Young Spy, I will put a link to his channel also up in the corner as well as in the description below. Take a peek at his channel if you like. He's a Japanese subscriber who helped me with putting this filter together, and mentioned the carbon that I had was upside down. And I want to thank Young Spy for doing that. I appreciate it. We had a little bit of a conversation about these filters. They are the most popular in Japan, which I kind of knew just from seeing them in all the tanks. But so thank you, Young Spy, for helping out. Now this filter, oh, hello, Mr. Pleco. How are you? Oh, it's delicious, is it? So do your plecos come out when you're filming and it's light out? Mine do. It's probably hungry. So this filter's doing a great job. You can see all the debris that it's caught already in 1 week. And there's actually, if I pick it up, you can see all the debris underneath it. Literally, it's picked up a ton of crap, because that's crap. And you can see inside there where the carbon is. When that carbon runs out, when that carbon is depleted, which probably will be in, my guess would be about 3 months, if not sooner, I'm going to take it out and probably try to put, I don't know what I'll put in there. Maybe I'll just put a couple lava rocks in between the sponge and the housing, just to add a little bit of room for beneficial bacteria to grow. I have to say, these neon swordtails are looking spectacular right now. My plan was to put them outside in a pond, but the pond that I was going to use apparently doesn't hold water, so that's not going to work. So Rick, I apologize. What else about this sponge filter? So Young Spy told me that he takes those sponges out and cleans them, but eventually they do need to be replaced as they fall apart. The rocks on the bottom, I thought might also be for beneficial bacteria, for biological filtration, but he said they're just to weigh them down. I may modify that and crush up some lava rock and see if that'll keep it, down at the bottom of the tank. All right. that's pretty much it for this filter. I'm not going to clean it this week. I'm going to wait till next Sunday, and I'll do another update of it being cleaned. So let's talk about this filter here. This is, and I refer to this as the China sponge filter because they're all made in China. And you know, we've talked about sponge filters before. So the way, just a little basic sponge filter knowledge, if you will. The way this sponge filter works is you can see the air line that comes in through the top right there, and that creates a vacuum, and that's what the bubbles are coming out the top. Now that vacuum is being sucked through those two sponges. Those two sponges are very porous, meaning they have a lot of little tiny itty bitty holes, which means they have a lot of surface area. And that's where your beneficial bacteria grows, most of it. There's some on the rocks, there's some on the glass, there's some on all the decoration. There is a negligible amount in the water column. If anyone ever says, oh, I did a water change and I saved some of the water to cycle a new tank, that will do nothing. Typically that's just adding dirty water to a clean tank. Anyway, so the beneficial bacteria does colonize in those sponges. It also acts as a little bit of a mechanical filtration. Some of the debris will get stuck or sucked into that. Sponge filters should be cleaned when they're dirty. Some people say every week, some people say every 2 weeks. I clean them when they kind of stop working, and that's because I'm lazy, and I have 54 tanks, and some of the tanks have 2 filters in them, so I have at least 55 filters to clean. These filters are nice because there's actually 4 of them right there. There's one of the stacks has 2, and so if I were to clean this, I would clean one side and then a week later clean the other side, so as not to ruin any of the beneficial bacteria, kill any of the beneficial bacteria, and throw this tank into a cycle. The way you clean them, the way I clean them, is I take tank water and I squeeze them out in the tank water until you get like a nice chocolate milk color. Then I squeeze them out in clean water again, clean tank water, until they come out clean, you know, until the water is clear. And doing it in tank water will preserve as much beneficial bacteria as you can, and won't kill the beneficial bacteria, so you know you don't start your cycle. Even with 2 separate filters, I do that. That's just me. What you choose to do is up to you. If it works for you, fantastic. This is what works for me. Alright, let's talk about another sponge filter. This is one you can buy commercially. Let me see if I can find, oh look, here's a better one. And this one doesn't have any air going to it. It's basically staying in there because it was a cycled filter, and I switched up box filter, which we'll talk about in a minute. This tank is a little cloudy, and it's basically because I need to do a gravel vac, as you can see, although there's no gravel, but vacuum the bottom. And then see if that little filter might not be strong enough for the bioload that's in this tank. So this sponge filter works pretty much exactly as the one that sticks to the glass that we'll refer to as the China filter. No offense to anyone. An air line goes in through the top, and that creates suction through the base, and that creates the vacuum through the through the sponge. And that's that. And this is the same thing. When you clean this, this comes apart. I take the top tube off, then there's a part inside like this. I take that off, and then I clean it. In fact, why don't we show how to do that? That's a good idea. Stand by. All right, fishy folks, we're back. This, I believe, is a Aquarium Solutions, which is a Hikari filter, and I bought them because they're cheap. And that's pretty much why I buy a lot of things. They work great and they're cheap. So to take this apart and clean it, you can see the water. That's just debris that fell off the filter when I put it in there. So this is the lift tube that comes off. Some people say this lift tube is necessary. Some people say the lift tube isn't necessary. Some people like the lift tube. Some people don't like the lift tube. It's like, do you like ketchup or mustard on your hot dog? No one answer is right. The lift tube will create slightly more lift, which will create slightly more efficiency, but it's probably a negligible amount. Snails and some, if these are bigger plecos, can get in there and might get stuck, whatever. I use them on most of mine. If I don't use it, it's because I forgot to put it back on or lost it. Now, this part comes off here. That's the base. And then this top part comes off like this. And now you have the center part of the sponge. This is what holds it on. Here's the bottom part of the sponge. So you can see through this tube, that tube is where the air goes and then comes out the bottom. And that creates the suction through all these little holes. Now, this filter is going to be gross. When I say chocolate milk, it's going to look like a chocolate milk. A ginormous bucket of chocolate milk. Are you ready? A ginormous bucket of chocolate milk. By the way, that phrase is not mine. I learned it from Corey from Aquarium Co-op, but it's a very descriptive way of saying it. Now, normally what I would do is take this bucket, dump it, and put clean water. I'm not gonna do that right now. Why? Because I'm lazy. Just wanted to be truthful with y'all. So now, to put it back together, you simply put that like that. Put that like that. This base is weighted. That's what keeps it down in the tank. And then, so this, see how there are holes right there and a little shoulder? And this is just smooth. The part with the shoulder and the holes goes in until you hear it click. Boom. Done. Now I gotta go on chocolate milk water and get the lift tube. Now, if I was putting an airline in this, if I was hooking it back up, which I'm not, it's just going to sit in that tank and stay cycled until I need it. What I would do is I would put the airline through this tube, then plug the airline into here, and then, and done. Cleaning a sponge filter. What'd that take? A minute? Minute and a half, because I was explaining it to you? It's not too bad. And now we have delicious chocolate milk. Now, if you have a garden and you have 1 or 2 filters and you do this, this water will be great for your garden. It's full of fertilizer, we'll say. Poop. And that's good for your plants. Alright, another filter to talk about is a box filter. So I'm just going to put this filter in this tank for now. Grab a box filter. So these box filters I got at a local fish club auction, I think Bucks County Aquarium Society auction, and this is like the most basic of basic. This is all you had for filters back, 20, 30 years ago. But they were probably expensive and money hogs, energy hogs. So this filter is pretty simple. Oh, that's nice. Poop water on my leg. So, so this filter works. This is the lift tube that I was like on the sponge filter. This is where the air goes. Obviously, you put this in here. Then you need something to weigh this down. I happen to use lava rocks because that will also double as a biological filtration. And I have a ton of them in the house. Lava rocks are great for biological filtration. They're inert, which means they do not affect, the water chemistry at all. And they're relatively inexpensive. I think it's about $7 or $8 for, I don't know, a 10-pound bag or 5-pound bag or something. I know that's a varied price, but I don't remember. But they're cheap. You can find them in the barbecue section of all the big box hardware stores. If you go to like a nursery, they'll probably be more expensive, although you can buy big ones and crush it up if they're cheap. Now, so the way this one works is you put some filter floss here, you put the lid on like this, and then the air goes in here, and comes out here, so it creates from down here and up here, it creates suction, and that's what traps the debris in here, and then all the water goes through the beneficial bacteria as well. Now these filters are kind of small, and I was hoping they would do a better job of biological filtration. All the tanks that I have them in are a little cloudy, and I can only assume it's because they're not as efficient as the bigger sponges I had, which I kind of knew was going to happen. But these filters also I don't typically use in guppy tanks or tanks that have small fry in, because they could get sucked in through these top holes, and I don't want that. But again, I think this box filter is probably $3 or $4 from Gemco. And then, you know, the lava rock and the filter floss, also pretty cheap, especially if you're doing multiple filters. I know plenty of people that use these in their fish room when they have cichlids, big cichlids, you know, they're not breeding, or they're just in big grow out tanks, and they work phenomenally. Alright, another sponge filter type that I have in my fish room is the DIY, the do-it-yourself sponge filter. And this isn't 100% do-it-yourself, because I did buy the actual sponge. I forgot how much they were, but they were like $3 or $4, maybe $5 for this ginormous sponge. But we already talked about the sponge, so in the water it goes. By the way, if you ever want to see what snail eggs look like, that's what snail eggs look like. And there's a snail there that we're gonna just bloop back in the water. Now, this particular base is a piece of tile I got at the Restore store. Look up Restore store if you want to know what that is. It's kind of like Goodwill, but for construction materials. I might have even gotten the coupler there, but let's just say I bought everything at a regular store. So I don't know how much tile is, so I'm gonna say we bought the tile at the Restore store for 10 cents. We bought the coupler for 50 cents at Home Depot, and we bought a 8-foot section of pipe for $2.50 or $3 at Home Depot. So what's this, a 20-cent piece? And then so this blue stuff is silicone, and it's blue because the tank was medicated with ICX. ICX is blue and dyes everything blue, hence blue silicone. So I take the coupler, and you don't need the coupler, you can glue this directly here, but these tiles are a little shiny, and even after I sanded them down a little bit, I found that this piece just didn't have the surface area to stick well enough, and after about 3 months they came off. So I used the coupler, which has some more surface area, and then I cut the piece of PVC pipe. This is 3/4. Boom, you have a base. Now this one is designed for an air stone. You put an air line and an air stone in here, you put the sponge, actually put the sponge first, then the air line. Boom, it's done. When I wasn't using these couplers, or if you want to drill, you can drill a hole in the bottom here. I would do it before you silicone it, and then drill a hole in the pipe, match them up, and you can put the air line through there. And I have that in some of my other sponge filters. But that's an easy do-it-yourself sponge filter. Any questions? Let me know. I think that's it for filters in my fish room. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or want to purchase any fish, you can certainly email me at michaelsfishroom@gmail.com. And if you have any questions about anything having to do with fish, shoot me an email. I've been trying to answer as many as I can. I've been getting a couple questions about live streams. I, by no means, am a live stream expert, but I have done it a handful of times, and it's a lot of fun. Hope everyone has a great Sunday Funday, and see you guys on Wednesday. Power filters had just started, but they were probably expensive and expensive. This filter works by this little this place. Yeah, nice.